Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, we're down here at the studio late on a Friday evening. News broke. I decided to run down here because I really wanted to get all of the hometown crowd informed about all sorts of shenanigans. It appears that there has been essentially a backroom effort to try to do away with all of Washington's initiatives. We'll explain what happened. This is breaking news. I got it from Brandi Kruse and I wanted to get it communicated to you guys as well. So today, let's spend just a few minutes, get you up to speed and talk about Bob and Steve try to disenfranchise the Washington state voter. Okay, like I said, this is a video for the hometown crowd. Now, this is going to be done a little different. I ran down here. I was actually floating in the pool over at Casa de Kirk when Gun Law Jr. comes running out and says, Dad, you got to check this out. Checked out this live feed from Brandi Kruse. Brandi was giving us an update on it, and it's going to make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Now, I'm going to be doing things a little differently. I got my handy-dandy little laptop here. I had to jot out some notes. I want to make sure I get the story straight here. So this is not going to be one of those nice, clean videos, but Washington, you need to understand what's going on here. Okay. There's 4 initiatives here that are in play. So Washington, you need to understand what was at stake here, okay? 2066 was the initiative to repeal the natural gas ban. 2109 to repeal the capital gains tax. 2117 to repeal the carbon tax. And 2124, which would allow people to opt out of Washington State's long-term health care. Okay, so those are the 4 initiatives. Now, there are 2 groups in play here. There's one group called Let's Go Washington, and we all know Let's Go Washington, and they're all the people who actually got the initiative process rolling, went out and rounded up over 1.2 million signatures and got some of them actually passed through the legislature. The rest of them are on the ballot this November. So kudos to all of you people. They're going to be the victim in this story. Then there's this other group called Defend Washington. Defend Washington is really just nothing more than a bunch of limousine liberals, big highfalutin tech people with a ton of dough, throwing their money around at all kinds of progressive causes. Okay, now, with that in mind, believe it or not, and when I tell you this, you're not going to believe it, but there was a case before the Washington State Supreme Court today, Friday, you're probably watching this on Saturday, so yesterday, that would have, if successful, invalidated all of those initiatives. They would have all been invalidated. And you sit there and you go, well, wait a second, why am I just finding out about it? Well, it's one thing if you're just finding out about it, but wait until you find out who else was left in the dark about it. Now, I do want you to know that the lawsuit has been dismissed by the Washington State Supreme Court. So Washington, take a deep breath. Okay, all of those initiatives are still alive and well. Now, here's the thing. This lawsuit was filed not in the Washington State Supreme Court, because as we know, you don't start lawsuits in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is where you go to appeal stuff that happened in the lower court. So Defend Washington and a few other progressive groups had filed multiple lawsuits that were down in Thurston County Superior Court. Those lawsuits had already come to fruition. The court had actually dismissed them on the merits, and now they're on appeal to the Washington State Supreme Court. But here's the deal. Okay, the lawsuits are actually filed against Secretary of State Steve Hobbs. Okay, these groups were claiming that Steve Hobbs was deficient in the way he validated all of the addresses and the signatures, and therefore all of the initiatives should be invalidated. Now, since Steve Hobbs is being sued, our Secretary of State, who is automatically his attorney, that's right, your Attorney General, and wants to be your future governor, Bob Ferguson. So Bob has to represent Steve, okay? And this is a lawsuit to undo everything that Let's Go Washington has done. Okay, now, Bob's job, and I want everyone to be aware of this, Bob's job, both ethically under the rules of professional conduct, as well as his job as announced by being the Attorney General, is to zealously defend Secretary of State Steve Hobbs to the fullest extent. Now, if one really wanted to make sure that you won that suit, one would think that you would immediately contact Let's Go Washington and say, hey, listen, I got this lawsuit. You guys might want to jump in on it. And whether they could actually jump in and become a named defendant in the suit, or at least file amicus briefs on it, it would assist the Attorney General significantly. So had Steve Hobbs' office, the Secretary of State, notified Let's Go Washington, or had the Attorney General or any of the 1,000 attorneys that he's got working for him notified Let's Go Washington, they would have been not only involved in today's action before the Washington State Supreme Court, they likely would have been involved in the action in Thurston County Superior Court. But no. You see, because Secretary of State Hobbs and Attorney General Ferguson, they were mum about this. They never said a word to anybody. You never heard anybody in mainstream media talking about this. And here's the worst part. Let's Go Washington did not find out about this until 2 hours before the hearing today before the Washington State Supreme Court. How did they find out about it? Okay, let me look at my notes here again. Okay, how did Let's Go Washington even find out about it? Well, according to my notes here, there's a reporter, Jerry Cornfield, and according to Brandi Kruse, who I respect her opinion, he is a, as she put it, very plugged in political reporter. He writes for the State Standard. He called Let's Go Washington a couple of hours before the Supreme Court hearing just to get a quote from him. Hey, what do you guys think about this lawsuit that's going to be decided today before the Washington State Supreme Court? And their response was, the what? That's right. And Jerry Cornfield, who, again, Brandi Kruse claims is a very plugged-in political reporter, and I'll take her word for that, he was completely unaware of the suit, and he found it while researching another lawsuit, also dealing with initiatives, but unrelated to this, that was also set before the Washington State Supreme Court. So he's literally up there looking up that suit, and he goes, whoa, what's this? And he starts tracing the history and goes, oh my God, this has been going on for months here. This suit was filed months and months ago, has already been argued in front of the Thurston County Superior Court, and now today was before the Washington State Supreme Court. The lawsuit is against Secretary of State Steve Hobbs. He's being defended by Attorney General Bob Ferguson's office, and no one contacts Let's Go Washington to let them know that this is going on. Now, despite the fact that I already said that Attorney General Ferguson had an absolute ethical duty to defend this case to the fullest extent, he did manage to pull off a win. And I'm sure Bob is already out there doing his self-proclaimed victory laps on social media right now. But I can assure you that had any other attorney general been in that spot and absolutely positively wanted to make sure that the will of the Washington voter was properly defended, they would have gotten Let's Go Washington involved in it. Now, I want you to think about this. The what if. What if you would have woken up tomorrow morning and read the news only to find out that all of the initiatives, many of which you Washingtonians signed, had all been invalidated and thrown off the ballot over some technicality? And what if you would have learned that this entire lawsuit had occurred behind your back, and the two parties that were most prominently involved in it happened to be your Secretary of State and your Attorney General? What if? Because that could have happened. So at the very beginning, the question I posed was, did Bob and Steve try to disenfranchise the Washington State voter? And in this case, when we have initiatives with over 1.2 million signatures that are being attacked, at no point does the attorney and the person subject to that suit ever notify the individuals who back these initiatives to get assistance in defending this suit. Listen, this is just one in a long chapter of shady business dealings that involve this particular attorney general who now wants to be your governor. And that's a good segue for one of our new series that we're going to be starting in just a couple of weeks. Yeah, it's called Fridays with Ferguson, and it's going to be myself and Michael Easton, independent journalist. And if you're not following Michael Easton on Twitter, please do yourself a favor. There he is right there. Get hooked up with him today. Now, he is the public disclosure record king. He knows the Freedom of Information Act better than anybody. And he's got the receipt on every single shady and unethical act by this attorney general over the last 12 years. We are going to spend every week with the receipts picking this attorney general apart. You need to know who this person is that wants to be your next governor. Listen, we'll go ahead and we'll link up Brandi's video down below. I'm sure she did a much better job of describing what happened. If you guys got any questions about this, you should know how to get a hold of Washington Gun Law by now. But if you don't, all of that information is down there in the description box. Maybe you got an idea for a video. You know the drill. There's the link there. Maybe you want to be part of our newsletter. That's down below in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, hey, Washington, we need to keep fighting. We need to absolutely keep fighting. This is the time that we need to fight to save our state. If we don't do it now, it's never going to be done. So in the meantime, though, let's everyone remember that part of being a lawful and responsible gun owner is to know what the law is in every situation, how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Keep fighting, Washington. Keep fighting and stay safe.